Ari Chernabog, you're really cool, but you are also basically just the villain of a slightly abstract short. I don't really think you count for the sake of this. They will never be bad, and that's not good. I don't know, man. Let's just get the fucking thing started. Ultimately, when determining the main villain of Lady and the Tramp, I landed on Aunt Sarah. Somehow the most presentable main antagonist in this film, and yet she's also by far the lamest and worst Disney villain of all time, with absolutely no competition for that coveted title. Okay, so the lore is that this old lady is gonna give all of her belongings and riches to her cats, and then her butler Edgar will get all of it when the cats die. Do you really think the cats are going to be able to use all that stuff? Do you really think a court of law is gonna uphold this? Well, apparently he does, because he decides to dispose of them. Except he's too chicken shit to actually kill them, so he just puts sleeping powder in their milk and then ditches them on the side of the highway. Okay, what if they are found or make their way back to the house? Which they do in this movie. Is he stupid? Sorry to all the Edgar fans. Oh wait, I'm just kidding, there are none. But to summarize, the worst of the three, don't you guys like it when a villain is revealed with 7 minutes left in the movie? I was kind of hoping that when the facade is gone, the real her would have more sinister and chilling line deliveries. I don't think that's a big ask, because in Emperor's New Groove, when Yzma turns into a cute little cat, she still sounds very murderous and scary. This is with a cat filter on her voice. She intimidates me more than the fucking main villain of Zootopia. And I honestly completely forgot about this, but she also does the whole "I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die" thing. Man, I love cliches. You just keep hitting the home runs, Disney! Woo! Not last, not last, not last. I will give King Magnifico the following compliments. Chris Pine does a very good job voice acting. His design is cool enough. So anyway, now for why he sucks. Oh no, he opened the magic book and the green magic was evil and it turned him crazy. You want to see him do some cool sorcery now that he's a super epic green sorcerer? Honestly, you're an idiot for wanting that. He's gonna chain people to the ground and that's it. He's not gonna transform or do any crazy spells, dumbass. But oh man, is he so threatening.
Success will be mine at last.
Why did you say it like that? Let's just hope in the third movie he sends Tamatoa to do his bidding and then Tamatoa can be the main villain of a movie for once. Or maybe he could just send the Bat Lady who should have been the main villain of this movie. I am so tired. Honestly, the most interesting thing about Kron is that he has the same voice actor as Sebastian. That's cool, I never knew that. Yeah, Kron sucks. It's hard to think of a more hateable Disney villain than Buck Cluck.
Yeah!
Dude, it's gonna be so funny seeing people in the comments actually take this part seriously. Yeah, I don't really think he's a Disney villain. I just thought this would be funny. I don't look like Hans, okay? Yeah, just like the other two twist villains I've talked about to death in the past. On you, little man. I don't want to waste much time. The Horned King is all style, no substance whatsoever. He's one of the coolest villains conceptually, who has the coolest design and coolest voice, and yet he still sucks complete ass, just like the fucking movie he came from. I hate the Black Cauldron. I don't know much about these deleted scenes, but maybe they would have made the Horned King into a functional villain. As is, I could say I like him better than the villains beneath him in the ranking, just because of his aesthetics and voice. Like, it's nice that a design this raw exists in a Disney movie, but oh my god, he's such an embarrassment otherwise. And he's only like the 5th worst thing about this movie. I don't like it. Sorry. Okay, so I guess for the purposes of this list, we have to count Elsa's long-dead grandfather from Frozen 2, since he started the conflict of the movie all those years ago, despite not actually appearing in the present, only in snow flashbacks. Okay.
He went in there to save you!
That was his mistake.
Yep! I was just gonna let that clip speak for itself. I don't think there's any more to add. But the more I thought about Callahan, the more I realized he's by far the best of the big 3 twist villains, because he's the only one that could have worked. But it all falls apart because of that one fucking line. Say it with me now.
That was his mistake.
Ah, shit.
That was his steak.
I don't see Lotso, Randall, or Stinky Pete killing anyone and eating their babies. I guess the Barracuda is one of the best Pixar villains of all time. Huh? That's what you people fucking sound like. Are you out of your goddamn minds? Why is his cage for Stitch on the outside of the ship, and how did he not have any sensors indicating that Stitch escaped immediately? I said in my Disney movie ranking that Madame Medusa from The Rescuers is just kind of the Walmart-ass version of Cruella de Vil or Madame Mim, and yeah, I literally have nothing else to say about her besides that. I guess her design is pretty good, and sometimes she talks like a Zelda CDI character, which is funny. Like, oh, she wants a diamond, wow, that's crazy. I guess Rescuers villain number 2 was a little bit better than Rescuers villain number 1. What was his name again? Percival C. McLeach. Yeah, I don't know, he's just kind of an evil poacher, and that's about it. He's okay. He serves his purpose as a threat decently well. I think he had one funny line.
I didn't make it all the way through 3rd grade for nothing.
Dude, I don't know. I got nothing else. He's not bad, but he's about as standard as you can possibly get as a Disney villain. Anyone else really wish King Louie was the main villain of The Jungle Book? Like, not only does he have the best song in the movie, but he's just so fun and would make for a great, intimidating antagonist, with his massive army of monkeys and desire to evolve. But, you know, I guess Beta Scar works too. Baloo hinders his mobility pretty easily by just grabbing his tail. And then when he actually does have a chance to maul Baloo to death, he can't even do that. Then they tie a flaming branch to his tail and he gets scared and runs away. What a pussy. Cat. Oh, right, Moana. I was born for this moment. Time to talk about... Oh yeah, the main villain of this movie is the lava monster. But the villain song, it went to... You know. I swear to God, if they don't include a Moana world in Kingdom Hearts 4, that might be the biggest fumble of all time. It's all right there. Plus, that way we can have a Tamatoa boss fight. I really want to talk about Tamatoa in this video. I mean, for God's sakes, it's not like I have an hour-and-a-half long video talking about him or anything. I poisoned it and it'll kill you if you eat it. Huh? Sorry, lady, did you say something? I wasn't listening. I was helping this lovely gentleman make a website so he can spread his turbotastic joy to every corner of the internet. His words, not mine. What? Clayton is kinda like if Man from Bambi was an actual character. He's okay. Like, can you imagine them getting away with this today? I genuinely can't. That's nuts. Well, I mean, Madame Mim is the closest thing the Sword in the Stone has to a villain, even though she only shows up for 10 minutes at the very end. It's kinda like if Tamatoa had to carry the entirety of Moana on his back, villain-wise. Except she's not quite as base as Tamatoa, so she doesn't rank very high. Pinocchio is a bit of a weird one, because it doesn't really have a primary villain, more of a rotating ensemble of villains, since it's a pretty episodic film. You could make a case that the main villain is the Coachman, or the Whale, or Stromboli, but I don't know, the more I thought about it, I think it's probably Honest John and Gideon. You know, maybe if Home on the Range was about the epic yodeling villain and not the Roseanne cow, it would have been good. Also, according to the Disney Wiki and this one deleted scene, apparently his original scheme was to storm Washington, D.C. with an army of hypnotized cows in an attempt to become president. This man was going to commit January 6th with a bunch of cows. Are you kidding me? Apparently this plotline was cut for being too ridiculous. Like, oh, this guy yodeling in order to hypnotize cows was totally fine. But using said hypnotized cows to storm the Capitol and forcibly make him president? No, that's where we draw the line. Like, it's almost going back in time to the first Thanksgiving to get turkeys off the menu levels of insane. Not quite, but it's in the same ballpark. It's weird that Shan Yu was more progressive than the heroes when it came to women in the military. When Mulan reveals herself to him, he recognizes her as the soldier from the mountains and doesn't even bring up or show any surprise at the fact that she's a woman. We love a progressive, ruthless, evil warlord in this house.
How many men does it take to deliver a message?
One.
The little girl will be missing her doll. We should return it to her.
Oh, well that's nice. Oh, never mind. Man, it's just nice to get a villain in a Disney movie whose main characteristic is she loves chopping off people's heads. Why can't we have more of that kind of villain again? I don't know, when your most evil action is stepping on a bug, maybe that's a sign you're not exactly a top tier villain. But with that said, oh my god, he's so cool anyway, it doesn't even really matter. Like, how does he know all this information about her and her desires? I guess the spooky friends on the other side told him or whatever. I love how right at the start, the magic mirror says, "Alas, she is more fair than thee." And the queen's response is, "Alas for her." Honestly, slay. Did I use that right? I don't know. This is vanity and self-absorption at its most absolutely comical. Like, she can't handle being the second prettiest girl in the land, so she'll make a potion to turn herself super ugly as a disguise in order to visit Snow White and kill her with a poison apple. I said this before, but like, couldn't you have just tricked Snow White into drinking the potion and turning ugly herself? I don't know, maybe there was some lore I missed that would have prevented that from working. Like, I hate to say it, but they just don't make him like that anymore. Why did he have to be named John when we already have Little John? Are there any other fucking names in medieval times? Oh, it's just a joke! Don't take it too serious! I know you're a great villain when someone writes an entire hit diss track about you just based on your bad vibes. Like, Roger didn't even know she wanted to murder the Dalmatians and make them into a fur coat when he wrote the song. He did it just because she's generally a bitch. Which, yeah, Yzma is just an undeniable blast of a villain. A lot of her appeal does come from her amazing chemistry with Kronk, who I'm obviously not going to be ranking here because he's not a bad guy. He just wanted to talk to squirrels and eat spinach puffs. Yzma is pure evil though. Cutthroat and maniacal through and through. I also really like the exchange she has with Kronk about how Kuzco didn't turn out better considering she practically raised him. That really says a lot about her with just one joke. Jafar is a weird one for me in the sense that I think he's just kinda fine for most of the movie, and then in the final act when he actually gets the genie's power, he's suddenly kind of the best villain ever.
I love it when I win.
That's like not an evil mastermind thing to say. If any other villain said that, it would be pretty lame. But I think its mundaneness suits this villain to a T. He's finished another job to get rich, and that's that. Everyone he just doomed to extinction is out of sight and out of mind now. She's great though, I still love her. But I don't know, man, saying she's the best Disney villain is like saying Link to the Past is the best Zelda game. Look, just because Ganon shows up at the end of Twilight Princess and reveals he was the true secret evil baddie, doesn't mean Zant isn't the primary villain of that game. Ever wonder what it would be like if the Mad Hatter was a fascist? Well, here you go. King Candy is often regarded as the last good Disney villain. I'm writing this before I've seen Moana 2, but I have a sneaking suspicion that will remain true for the foreseeable future. Maybe I'm wrong, I guess we'll all know when this video is out. The fact that we live in a society where Ratigan is not constantly hyped up as one of the greatest Disney villains of all time deeply upsets me. Holy shit, I love everything about this guy. I mean, good lord, his evil plan is to force a guy to build a robot replica of the Queen, who then appoints him to a position of power so he can tax the elderly, the infirm, and little children. Oh, but the people making Home on the Range thought it was too ridiculous to have a guy storm Washington, D.C. with a bunch of cows in order to become president. Cowards! It's crazy to think that all he wanted this whole time was some Taco Bell. Like, come on, dude, there were way less nefarious ways of getting that. Give it up for my favorite old-timey Disney villain, Captain Hook. One of the first things he does is shoot a member of his crew who's playing the accordion too loud. Like, he murdered that man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And it's played as a joke, and the movie just moves on from it entirely. Talked about it before, but I adore the fact that he promises Tinkerbell he won't lay hand nor hook on Peter Pan. And instead of just doing the boring thing and going back on that promise, he keeps it and instead mails Peter Pan a pipe bomb. Deranged, hilarious, and incredible all at once. Seriously, Captain Hook is peak. It's hard to argue against that. And this is where I'd rank Tamatoa. If he counted! I don't know how they did it. His face screams both sinister ruler of the underworld, and this guy has a funny face. It's a great touch that she just leaves Ariel to drown afterwards. Again, she never said anything about bringing her to the surface. I just find that funny. I mean, it's kinda hard to argue with Scar's resume, you know? Like, he legit won. He did it. He set out to kill his brother and steal the throne, and that's exactly what he did. He was overthrown like a decade later, but until then, yeah, the Pride Lands were his. He is arguably the most accomplished Disney villain out of all of them. The single most evil character to ever come out of Walt Disney Animation Studios. He actively persecutes marginalized groups, murders a woman in cold blood on the steps of a church, and then attempts to drown her baby in a well solely because it's ugly. And this is just the first 5 minutes of the movie. Let me know in the comments if you're upset with me that I didn't include the First Order Stormtroopers from Ralph Breaks the Internet.